I didn't think I was a jealous guy. I mean, I teach 7th grade history in Central Illinois. My biggest rivalry is with a vending machine that eats my dollar bills and a 12-year-old named Gage who thinks Napoleon was a Pokemon. So no, I wasn't exactly the suspicious type. My wife, Laura, was the ambitious one. ER nurse, type A, energy drinks for breakfast, for fitness apps on her phone. I used to joke that she ran on adrenaline and guilt. She thought that was hilarious. Better than running on lukewarm coffee and permission slips, she'd say, poking fun at my job. We had a decent thing going. Married 5 years. No kids yet, by mutual decision. 2 cars. A ranch-style house with questionable siding. Wednesday night wine. Monthly Costco runs. I thought we were solid. Until the iPad. It started on a Saturday. Laura was at work. I was grading essays while half-watching a documentary about the Great Chicago Fire. Spoiler. Started in a barn, ended with 300 acres of oops. Her iPad dinged. Nothing unusual. We shared devices, mostly out of laziness. Shared Apple ID, shared calendar, shared playlists. But this time, a message flashed on the lock screen. Group chat. No name. Just, he'll be home late, so I'll be free, smiling face with horns. I blinked. You ever read something so fast your brain has to go back and ask, wait, what? I picked up the iPad. The message was still there. He'll be home late, so I'll be free, smiling face with horns. And it was under her name. I unlocked the screen. Now, I'm not a snooper. Never have been. But this wasn't a gut feeling. This was a glowing neon red flag waving itself in my living room. The chat was titled Siren Squad Syringe Fire. Of course it was. Inside were names I didn't recognize. All nurses, based on their bios. Half the messages were about shifts, surgeries, or complaints about administration. The other half? Memes. Shirtless selfies. Talk about Dr. J. And Laura. Right in the middle. Using phrases like midnight rounds and staff lounge vibes, and, I swear to God, he leaves the stethoscope on. Now, I didn't see any graphic photos. No full-blown confessions. But I didn't need them. I had enough to start connecting dots. Dot number 1. He'll be home late. That was me. I had chaperone duty for a school dance the night she sent that. Didn't get home until almost 11 p.m. Dot number 2. So I'll be free. What was she doing? Who was she seeing? I didn't confront her. Not yet. Because if there's one thing middle school has taught me, it's that calling someone out without proof just turns into a he said she said with no learning objective. So I played it cool. Put the iPad back. Waited. The next day, I asked casually, you working extra shifts lately? She shrugged. A few doubles here and there. Why? Just wondering, I said. You seem tired. Because I'm working my butt off, she snapped. Unlike someone who teaches the American Revolution with sock puppets. I laughed it off. But inside, something clicked. She'd never talked to me like that before. Not unless she was hiding something. And now? I was done playing oblivious husband. I started documenting. Every odd message. Every mood swing. Every time she forgot to mark a shift on the shared calendar. Then came Facebook memories. Harmless, right? Just past posts resurfacing. Except hers started showing photos I didn't recognize. Locations she didn't tell me about. A picture of her in scrubs holding a smoothie with a caption, best post-shift treat, smiling face with hard eyes. But the timestamp matched a night she told me she was working late. No breaks. Okay. Maybe a fluke. Then another one. Her at a bar, laughing with coworkers. Tag said the Dockside Lounge. Date? Same night I had a migraine and she told me she was staying with a patient through the night. Strike 2. The worst part? In the comments, someone wrote, can't believe Jay let you out tonight, fire, fire, fire. To which she replied, only for one drink, winking face. Jay? Dr. J? Was this the guy from the group chat? The next clue came from Venmo. Now, Laura and I had a habit of paying each other back for little things, groceries, shared dinners, pet food. I noticed she started tagging a guy named Jason Stethoscope in transactions. Not often, just once or twice a month. But the captions? Lunch reward, smiling face with halo. You owe me for the post-call caffeine, lol. Red wine and regrets wine glass. I stared at that last one for a long time. Red wine and regrets. Who even types that if they're not bragging? I clicked on Jason's profile. His bio? ER doc. Trauma team. Part-time runner. Full-time chaos. I scrolled his feed. Nothing too revealing. Mostly running stats, dog photos, and the occasional gym flex. But then I saw it. A boomerang video of him clinking glasses with someone off camera. Caption: she says she's a nurse, but drinks like a surgeon. Posted at 10:42 p.m. Same night, I was in a school parking lot helping 7th graders find their parents after the Valentine's dance. So now I had a name. Jason. Dr. J. Lara's post-call wine buddy. And the guy she didn't think I'd notice because she left the digital breadcrumbs scattered across 3 platforms and a synced calendar. But the thing is, she never turned off sharing, never logged out, and I never told her I knew. Because revenge is like baking. You don't serve it half done. You learn a lot about people when you stop listening to what they say and start watching what they do. That's one of the first lessons you pick up in a middle school classroom. Kids will lie to your face and then hand you their browser history like it's a confession. Lara wasn't 12, but she had the same tell, arrogance disguised as routine. After the iPad slip, the Venmo tags, and the boomerang video from Dr. Jason full-time chaos himself, I shifted gears from suspicious husband to amateur data analyst. The great thing about living with someone tech-addicted is they never delete anything. Lara's iCloud was a hoarder's paradise, synced calendar events, location pings, even notes app lists for stuff like meal prep, week 8, and reasons I deserve a day off, woman lotus position. But the calendar? That was gold. She thought deleting events from my view would hide things. What she didn't realize was that Apple's activity logs don't lie. I had alerts set up for shared items, and every time she removed something, a shift, a gym class, a night out, I got pinged. I started taking screenshots, building timelines, color coding, because I'm that guy. Wednesday, February 8th. Lara, late shift, don't wait up. Reality, tagged at Dockside Lounge on Facebook. Jason liked the photo. Saturday, February 11th. Lara, training seminar in Peoria. Reality, hotel booking on our shared Amex, 2 guests, 1 room, billed to Jason's work card. Tuesday, February 14th, yes, Valentine's Day. Me, made dinner, bought her favorite wine. Her, swamped. Overtime, we'll eat at hospital. Reality, no hospital activity logged in her work badge data. Yeah, I had a friend on hospital security. Instead, Uber receipt to Tomo Sushi Lounge at 6:34 p.m. Dinner for 2. Jason tagged in a story. Strike after strike. Still, I didn't confront her. Because I had a plan, and I needed it to be perfect. See, every year since we got married, Lara and I hosted a Friendsgiving. Her idea originally, some millennial hybrid of dinner party and curated social content. It started out as a potluck with real friends. By year 3, it was a full-blown branded affair. Name cards, floral centerpieces, and a hashtag #ThankfulAF. This year would be our 6th. I'd already committed to hosting it before I caught her iPad slip. And that's when the idea hit me. If Lara wanted to brag about her life in secret chats and flirty Venmo captions, then I'd give her something truly share-worthy. I'd give her a moment, a centerpiece. But first, I needed the last puzzle piece. Proof. Not implications. Not timestamps. Not location tags. Proof. So I made a move. Her iPad was my window, but I didn't want to dig too hard. Too risky. Instead, I let her do the work. I waited until a Thursday night when she was half watching a baking competition show and scrolling Instagram with her rest day wine. Then I asked, as casually as you please, "Hey, what's that emoji mean?" She looked up. "Which one?" I showed her my phone, a screenshot of one of her group chat messages I had copied from the iPad days earlier. She went still for just a second, then gave a tight smile. "Just a joke from work." "Look spicy," I said. She rolled her eyes. "It's dumb. Doctor stuff. Memes. Is it about that Jason guy?" She blinked. "Why would you think that?" I shrugged. "I saw your Venmo." She paused. "It's nothing. We all share meals on shift. Group stuff." I nodded slowly. "Sure." Then I let it sit. Because a half-lie is still a tell. That night, she left her phone face down on the counter while showering. A buzz went off. I didn't touch it. But I noted the sender, Jason's stethoscope. And the preview? Still thinking about the break room. "You're dangerous." There it was. That was the proof. The break room. It wasn't just a cliche. It was specific. Stupidly specific. And the best part? She had no idea I saw it. Which meant Friendsgiving was still on. I spent the next week prepping. Not the turkey. Not the pie. The awards. It started as a joke. I mocked one up in Canva, most dramatic text message preview. But then I made another. Best performance in a double life. Then, biggest hospital mystery, missing pants in break room B. Each one printed on thick stock paper, laminated, framed. The kind you'd give out at an office holiday party, half sincere, half roast. Laura thought it was cute. You're doing awards this year? Yeah, I said, spicing it up. She nodded. Love it. Of course you do. By the day of the dinner, I had 12 awards. Most were harmless. Best dish, loudest laugh, chronically late, but we love you. And then there was Laris. Most likely to cheat with a coworker in a patient's break room. I printed it last. Stored it in a separate envelope. We hosted the party like normal. House clean. Music low. Turkey brined. She wore her burnt orange sweater dress, the one she bought after following some influencer's fall capsule wardrobe breakdown. 12 guests. Friends from her hospital. Mutuals. One of my teacher coworkers. Even Jason was invited, but conveniently caught a last-minute shift. Of course he did. Dinner went well. Too well. Wine poured. Jokes flowed. Someone spilled cranberry sauce on the couch. Then, as the table cleared, I stood up and clapped my hands. All right, folks, I said. It's time for this year's Friendsgiving honors. Applause. Laughter. Laura grinned, wine in hand. I passed out the first few. Silly. Fun. People clapped. Took selfies. Then I pulled out her envelope. Paused. Held it like a game show prize. This one's special, I said. Real competitive field this year. She leaned forward, smiling. I flipped it. Read aloud. Most likely to cheat with a coworker in a patient's break room. Silence. You could have heard a wine glass sigh. Laura froze. One of her coworkers, a respiratory tech named Anna, let out a small gasp. Then someone laughed. Not because it was funny. Because it was uncomfortable. And then came the moment I didn't expect. Someone pulled out their phone. Started filming. Just a shaky, nervous little video of a train wreck unfolding. Laura tried to laugh it off. What the hell, Travis, she said, eyes wide. Just awards, I said. You love awards. This is a joke, right? I smiled. It's a roast. I mean, unless it hits too close to home. The silence deepened. Then Anna, brave, sauced, and already halfway out the door, mentally mumbled. Wait, is this about you and Jason? Lara's eyes shot to her. No. Too fast. Too loud. Someone whispered, oh my God. I picked up my wine. Took a sip. Then added, hope the break room's soundproof. Laughter. Then shock. Then chaos. And all of it? Caught on video. There's a certain kind of silence that only happens after someone's been publicly gutted in their own home. Friendsgiving was supposed to be a warm, wine-soaked celebration of community. A place where mismatched chairs and casserole disasters bonded people together for a few cozy hours. Instead, it ended in a mood so dense you could have carved it like a pie. Laura stood frozen with her wine glass half raised. The laminated award I handed her trembled slightly in her grip. Across the room, Anna, the respiratory tech who let the name Jason fly, stared at her lap like she'd just realized she accidentally hit reply all on an office email. Everyone else? They were silent. Nobody laughed. Nobody defended. Everyone just looked, cornered, like they weren't sure if they should stay or sprint. It was beautiful. And then came the voice. From the corner of the room, a guy named Caleb, one of Lara's nursing coworkers and apparently not a fan of hers, muttered. Should have made it. Most likely to catch something in the break room. A few people snorted. Then the dam broke. Laughter. Not wild, not fun. The OSHT, this is happening, and I don't want to make eye contact asterisk kind of laughter. That's when Laura set her wine glass down. Hard. Travis, she hissed. You're humiliating me. No, I said, calm as an anesthetized monk. I'm just holding up a mirror. This is sick. I raised an eyebrow. So our break room hookups during overnight shifts, apparently. Wow, she said, lips twisting. You're bitter. I shrugged. And you're about to be unemployed. Silence again. Because that line? That one landed. You could almost hear the inner monologues forming. Wait, can you get fired for this? Are there rules? Did someone film this? Spoiler, someone did. And that someone was a friend of Lara's named Rochelle, a radiology tech with a messy personal life and a talent for catching drama before it catches her. She filmed about 48 seconds of the moment. Just enough. Laura laughing awkwardly, reading the award out loud, the room shifting into discomfort, Me sipping my wine and saying, "Hope that break room's soundproof." Then Caleb's jab. Then the silence. It wasn't meant for the internet, but it didn't stay private. Because after the party fell apart and Laura stormed upstairs and everyone else filtered out with murmurs of "yikes," Rochelle texted me, "Hey, I got a clip. You cool if I post? I'll crop it." I replied, "Your phone, your choice." She posted it the next morning on Reddit in a subreddit called r/nurse talk under the title, "ER nurse gets publicly outed by her husband at Friendsgiving. You won't believe what the award says eyes." It blew up. By the end of the day, the post had 18,000 upvotes and over 900 comments. People were unhinged. "This man deserves a Netflix doc." "Justice has entered the chat." "Break room? In my hospital?" "HIPAA could never." "Is Jason the doctor from Springfield Medical?" "Asking for my sister." It crossed platforms by the weekend. TikToks, Twitter reposts, Instagram meme accounts slapping it under the caption, "Thankful for petty husbands." By Monday, someone tagged her employer. Then the real fire started. The hospital's HR department opened an internal review. Then, so did the state nursing board. Not because of the affair, that's just flavor. What triggered the investigation was the implication that Laura and Dr. Jason had been using patient care areas, namely, the break room, for personal encounters. Unethical? Sure. Unprofessional? Absolutely. Potential health code violation? Now we're talking license suspension. Laura came home Monday night looking like a woman who'd Googled her own name and found a bonfire. She dropped her bag, stood in the kitchen, and said nothing for a full 30 seconds. Then, "What did you do?" I looked up from the couch, remote in hand. "I'm watching Jeopardy." She walked over, slapped the remote from my hand, and repeated herself. "What did you do?" I stared at her, totally calm. "You cheated." I called it out. "Someone filmed it." "You're not mad at me. You're mad that the internet found out." She pointed a shaking finger at me. "You destroyed my career." I shrugged. "You did that when you unzipped your scrubs in a shared hospital lounge." Her voice dropped. "Do you know what it takes to get a license suspension?" "Yes," I said. 12 complaints, or one good video with 40,000 likes. She went still again. Then she started crying. Not quiet tears. The loud, dramatic, hand-to-face kind of sobbing that makes people uncomfortable in public. I didn't comfort her. I didn't touch her. I watched. She slid down against the fridge, shaking. They called me in. The board. They're reviewing everything. My badge is suspended until the investigation's over. I nodded. "Sounds serious." She looked up, eyes wild. "You're enjoying this?" "Not really," I said. "I'm just done being the idiot in the group chat." She blinked. And that's when I dropped the last bomb. I pulled out a printed screenshot, handed it to her. It was from the Siren Squad Syringe Fire group chat. The message? "He's sweet but clueless. He grades spelling tests while I get real anatomy lessons faced with years of joy." Dated 2 weeks before Friendsgiving. Her face went pale. "You saw this?" "Yep." "And you didn't say anything?" I shrugged. "Didn't have to. You said it all." She stood up. "So what now? You gonna leak more?" I looked her dead in the eye. "No. You already leaked enough to ruin yourself." She stormed out. 3 days later, I got a formal separation request via email. I didn't even reply. Just forwarded it to my lawyer with the subject line, "Looks like Friendsgiving was a success." I moved out a week later. She stayed in the house. For now, I didn't care. I was already gone. And the video? It didn't stop at 40,000 likes. By the time the nursing board issued their final report, suspension pending ethics retraining and a formal warning, it had been downloaded, captioned, and added to a top 10 pettiest breakups YouTube compilation that someone sent me on a Tuesday. I watched it once. Didn't laugh. Didn't cry. Just smiled. Because for once, I wasn't in the group chat. I was the headline. There's a strange moment, a weird kind of silence, that hits about a week after you destroy someone publicly. Not with fists or fire, but with the clean, stainless steel precision of receipts and restraint. I remember standing in the self-checkout lane at the grocery store, holding a can of soup and a bag of oranges, when a notification buzzed on my phone. "Suggested for you. r/healthcare drama. Laura Nurse 93 attempts damage control." I tapped it open. There she was. Laura. A 12-minute YouTube video titled, "What Really Happened at Friendsgiving." My side of the story. Thumbnail. Her sitting on a couch, hair curled, sweater loose, holding a mug with the words, "Grace over chaos." Oh, hell no. I tapped play. It started with soft piano music. Something royalty-free and fake pensive. She sighed deeply. Hi everyone. This video's really hard to make, but I feel like I owe it to my followers, and honestly, to myself. Right. She'd been mostly offline since the suspension hit. A brief, taking a break to recenter story, followed by 48 hours of silence. But clearly, she couldn't resist. Laura was a chronic explainer, a narrative builder. She couldn't just vanish. She had to frame it. Yes, things were said at a party. Yes, some people took it out of context. But I want to be really clear, not everything that goes viral is true. That line made me laugh out loud in the frozen aisle. I actually got a dirty look from a woman scanning frozen peas. The award was a joke. The clip was edited. I was set up. And I want to talk about how toxic relationships can distort your truth. There it was. The pivot. The rebrand. I stood there with my groceries, watching her spin the narrative like cotton candy made of delusion. She even pulled out the crying voice at the 9-minute mark. I worked so hard to get where I am, and in one night, because someone wanted to be spiteful, it all fell apart. No mention of Jason. No mention of the group chat. Just vague nods to people misunderstanding things and a whole lot of therapeutic buzzwords. She ended the video with, "To all the women out there rebuilding from the ashes, I see you. And I'm with you." Then she actually winked, like she was signing off a live wellness webinar. By the time I checked the view count later that night, it had already hit 37,000. The comments? Brutal. Girl, we saw the video. Sit down. Ma'am, you bragged in the group chat and then cried when it leaked. If you're gonna cheat, at least cheat with someone hot. Rebuilding from the ashes, you lit face with tears of joy. This is giving main character energy, but from a Hallmark villain. Some were supportive, sure. Every fall from grace story has its little group of enablers. But the internet? The internet remembers. And unlike Laura, it doesn't try to rewrite the script mid-season. I didn't comment. Didn't even like it. But I did get a message that same night. From Jason. Yep. Dr. J himself. His account was private, no profile pic, just the initials JW, and a bio that said taking time to reset. His message? Hey, didn't know if it was cool to reach out. Just didn't want to leave this hanging. What she did to you, not okay. I stared at the screen for a long second, then typed back. You mean what you both did? He replied almost immediately. Yeah, I know. I backed off. As soon as the video hit, I cut her off. I asked him one question. Why'd you do it? His reply? She said you didn't pay attention. Said you were just there. She made it sound like you were roommates, not partners. That didn't sting. It just confirmed what I already knew. Laura had rewritten our marriage in her own head long before she rewrote it online. I didn't reply after that. Didn't need to. Because if Jason thought I was going to absolve him with a thumbs up and a thanks for the honesty, then he was as delusional as she was. The next week, Laura took down the video. No explanation. No follow-up post. It just vanished. But screenshots? Still circulating. Clips still getting reposted. And every now and then, the Friendsgiving award video makes another round, especially during the holidays. Like some cursed little tradition people can't stop watching. I even saw it once stitched into a TikTok series about top 5 most iconic exes. I was number 3. Number 1 was a woman who baked her husband's divorce papers into a birthday cake. Fair. Meanwhile, I moved on. Quietly. Moved out of the house. Found a 2-bedroom apartment 10 minutes from the school. Nothing fancy. Hardwood floors. A view of the gas station where I buy Red Bull and existential clarity. My coworkers didn't ask questions. Just offered silent solidarity, extra planning help, leftover pizza during staff meetings, a small card on my desk that said, "You're stronger than 7th graders. You've got this." I like that one. I didn't date. Not yet. Not because I was heartbroken, I wasn't. But because I needed to recalibrate. Figure out who I was without Laura orbiting me like a fast-moving crisis moon. I started jogging again. Bought a new couch. Got into model building little miniature cities I'd glue together on Sunday mornings while listening to jazz. It was boring. Predictable. Safe. And I loved it. Then one afternoon, I got a call from my buddy Max. He's a substitute teacher, works part-time, watches a lot of Reddit drama on his breaks. He sounded giddy. Dude, check your DMs. Like right now. I opened Instagram. He'd sent me a screenshot. It was a comment on a viral video, a repost of my Friendsgiving moment. But this one? This one had a blue check mark under it. From a comedy writer on Netflix. This man deserves his own show. Max called again. I swear to God, if you end up as a character on some streaming series and I'm not in the pilot, I will key your car. I laughed. But deep down, it was tempting. Not the fame, not the show. Just the idea that my quiet revenge, the laminated paper, the staged dinner, the slow burn exposure had turned into a legend. Not because I wanted payback, but because I wanted to be remembered. Laura wanted to make me the joke in her private story. Instead, she became a footnote in mine. If you would have told me a year ago that I'd go viral for handing out fake awards at a dinner party, I would have laughed and asked if I was also wearing clown shoes and honking a bike horn. But here we were. Friendsgiving Gate, as the internet had branded it, refused to die. Every few weeks, some faceless Reddit account would post a blurred clip with a caption like, "This husband deserves an Emmy," or "Most Midwestern revenge of all time." And then the comments would pour in, people dissecting every line, turning my sip of wine into a reaction gif. Some guy even used my "hope that break room's soundproof" quote as the tagline for his podcast. I didn't want to be famous. I just wanted to be left alone. But the thing about becoming an internet myth is you don't get to choose when people stop telling your story. And sometimes, the people telling it get it wrong. That's what finally pushed me over. It was a TikTok, one of those stitched reaction videos. A lifestyle influencer named Harmony, yes, really, used my clip to launch into a 3-minute monologue about toxic masculinity disguised as humor, and how I weaponized embarrassment instead of communicating openly. She ended it with, "This kind of stunt isn't empowerment. It's performative pain. We have to be better." It got 400,000 likes. And that's when I snapped. Not in the throwing plates or typing in all caps kind of way. No, I did what I always do. I wrote. I sat down at my laptop, the same one I used to grade Civil War essays and write subplans for flu season, and I opened a blank document. And then, I told the story. All of it. The iPad slip. The group chat. The Venmo tags. The Facebook memories. The sickeningly smug boomerangs. The slow burn. The laminated award. The silent dinner table. The explosion. But I didn't just list the facts. I told it like a case study, narrated in my own voice. Clean. Dry. Precise. I called it Safe Guy, an autopsy. And when I was done, 5 hours later, I emailed it to the same comedy writer who left that comment under the viral clip. No pitch. No resume. Just the file. The next morning, she replied, "Holy sh*T, call me." 3 days later, I was sitting in a virtual meeting with a streaming development team. Producers. Writers. One exec who had a poodle in her lap the entire call. They loved it. But here's the part one didn't expect. They didn't want to make me the lead character. They wanted me to write it. Apparently, my voice, dry, observant, unflinching, was exactly what they'd been looking for in their low-stakes betrayal comedy. They offered me a development deal. Paid. No promises of greenlighting. But enough to consult, shape the characters, and write the pilot script. I didn't say yes right away. I told them I'd think about it. Because while the idea of fictionalizing the whole thing, turning Laura into a composite character, replacing Jason with a doctor named Chad, was appealing, I didn't want to do it for revenge. I wanted to do it for control. Control over the story that had been told for me. First by Laura and her group chats. Then by Reddit. Then by TikTok influencers looking for content. It was my life. My humiliation. My comeback. And I wanted to own it. So I said yes. And then, 2 days later, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. Just one word. Really? I stared at it. Then another came through. A show? Seriously, Travis? Ah, there she was. The ghost in the machine. Laura. Somewhere, she'd heard. Maybe a friend. Maybe Jason. Maybe just scrolling the wreckage of her name and seeing the new narrative forming without her. I didn't respond. She followed up again. If you do this, I'll lose everything. Another text. You already made your point. Do you really need to make me a character too? I waited a full day. Then replied. You already made yourself one. I'm just writing it down. She didn't answer. And that was the last I heard from her. Meanwhile, the draft took shape. The show had a new title, Group Chat. The main character wasn't named Travis. He was a mix of 3 real people, some fictionalized mess, and a whole lot of emotional glue. The wife? A little bit Laura, a little bit textbook narcissist, A little bit wellness blogger who sells detox teas on Instagram. But the moment at Friendsgiving, that stayed almost exactly the same. Same wine glass, same awkward award, same quiet detonation that ripples out like an earthquake in a house made of Pinterest boards and group texts. And when I turned in the pilot, the producer emailed me. It's like The Office meets Marriage Story, but written by a dude who grades homework and burns lives with a smile. I didn't know what to say to that, but I smiled. Because they got it. They understood that revenge isn't always rage. Sometimes it's a spreadsheet, a screenshot, a slow build, and a long silence followed by one moment, one laminated award that changes everything. I still teach, still live in the same small town, still jog the same routes. But now, there's a folder on my desktop labeled Pilot Drafts. And every time someone sends me a TikTok or a meme or a Reddit comment that says, "This guy's a genius," I nod, not because I believe it, but because I know the truth. Genius wasn't exposing her. It was waiting. You know how you never notice the hum of an old refrigerator until it stops? That was Laura. For years, her presence buzzed beneath everything, the way she filled up a room without asking, the endless voice notes on the shared calendar, her perfume baked into every hoodie I owned. Then one day, she was just gone. No more group chat pings from Siren Squad syringe fire. No more Venmo requests tagged LOL wine o'clock wine glass. No more passive-aggressive post-its on the thermostat about keeping the energy bill under control. Just silence. And I loved it. I didn't realize how loud she'd made my life until the volume dropped to zero. The show group chat didn't go to series. Not yet. But the pilot script did the rounds. Got passed between producers. A couple studios asked for meetings. One even offered to option it outright, just to sit on it, in case a streamer bites. That was fine. I wasn't in it for the spotlight. I didn't want a Hollywood ending. I already had mine. The best part? I didn't need to perform anymore. Not like Laura did. I wasn't on Instagram, posting faux growth stories about moving forward with intention. I didn't upload teary-eyed videos or launch a newsletter called The Reclamation. I just lived. I went to work. Helped a student named Bailey finally pass his U.S. history final after 3 years of summer school. Taught the difference between causation and correlation while watching 8th graders pretend not to Snapchat under their desks. Built miniature models of old Western towns while listening to 70s jazz and eating takeout. Normal stuff. The kind of life Laura used to call boring. The kind of life she tried to escape by adding a stethoscope emoji to a man she barely knew. But now, she couldn't touch it. That was the real win. Not the viral clip. Not the nursing board review. Not the Reddit threads or memes or "this man is my Roman Empire" comments under reposted TikToks. The real win was this. She couldn't rewrite it anymore. Because it was already written. I owned the narrative now. Every part. From the first clue, that third-person text on her iPad, to the final laminated award at Friendsgiving, it was mine. My story. My pace. My language. And no group chat on earth could dilute that. Then, a month later, the real twist came. I was in the teacher's lounge, eating leftover pasta out of a Tupperware, when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. No message. I almost ignored it. But something told me to pick up. Hello. Silence. Then a voice. Soft. Familiar. Travis? It was her. Laura. My stomach didn't twist. My chest didn't tighten. I just listened. I don't expect you to say anything, she started. I needed to call. I didn't say a word. She filled the silence. They didn't renew my nursing license. Pause. They said I'd have to do a full ethics retraining program, with a panel review, and even then, maybe. Another pause. I'm working at a spa now. In Springfield. Admin stuff. I nodded to no one. Then she said, "You won." Okay. You won. Still, I said nothing. Because she didn't get it. There was no scoreboard. No tally. I hadn't done it to win. I did it because it was earned. Because while she was writing group chat one-liners and crafting double lives in patient break rooms, I was paying attention. Building the case. Waiting. She kept talking. I know you don't forgive me. I don't expect you to. But I wanted you to know that I think about it. A lot. What I did. How I handled it. You didn't deserve that. Still, I said nothing. Just breathed. She sighed. I hope the show gets picked up. Then she hung up. That was the last time I heard her voice. Not dramatic. Not poetic. Just over. And later that week, a package arrived. No return label. Inside? A shoebox. Old. Taped shut. Inside the box, a stack of index cards, banded together. I recognized the handwriting. Mine. It was a deck of note cards I'd made years ago when I was studying for my teaching certification. Flashcards with quotes, terms, and trivia. Laura had saved them. At the bottom of the box, folded in half. One of the awards. The one I gave her. The real one. Most likely to cheat with a coworker in a patient's break room. Still laminated. Still crisp. Still mine. I laughed. Quietly. Just once. Then I put the box back together. Carried it out to the dumpster behind my building. Dropped it in. Walked away. Didn't look back. Because some stories don't need epilogues. They just need endings. And this one was perfect. The end. Subscribe to the channel